How's everyone doing? Doing all right? Good. So I'd like to call to order the July 18th Board of Commissioners meeting with the presence of all three commissioners. I'd like to call on Sheriff Kilkenny to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sheriff. So I want to thank everyone for your patience as we sought to start the meeting a little later than usual today. Last week, a member of our communications team, Gabriella Preet, received some devastating news that she lost her 19-year-old daughter, Ariana, in an accident. And so we went to be with the family this morning. Gabriella, for those that come often, usually runs the meetings for us, and she's a beloved colleague. I know her family is heartbroken, and as a parent, I can't imagine losing a child at any age. And so let's pray for her family because they will need all the comfort and support in the days, weeks, and months ahead. And so if we could just pause for a moment to have a moment of silence in memory of Ariana. Thank you. Just want to give my colleagues anything you want to.
Sure. Well, I would just reiterate that we deeply appreciate Gabby as part of this team, and it's incredibly sad to see and hear what has happened, and we're here to support her in any way that we can, and we let her know that, and just the county team, anything we can do, we're here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very sad situation. Gabrielle's a great person, and I'm sure her daughter was just amazing. I didn't have the pleasure of meeting her daughter, but the outpouring that was there this morning when I went to the services was just amazing, and it's so sad to see the number of young teenagers that were there also in support. It's unfortunate and upsetting to see that these kids have to deal with such a traumatic situation within their lives. So if anyone knows the family, please reach out and give them, in due time. And I'm sure over the coming days and weeks that it's always good to help where they can with gifts and food or whatever it may be. They're amazing, awesome family. She's a valued employee here at the county, and we wish her well as she deals with this situation.
Thank you. All right, next I want to acknowledge the disturbing events from this past weekend. The violent act against former President Trump at his rally in Butler County was deeply troubling. I want to offer our condolences to the family of the firefighter, Corey, who was lost, and we hope that David Dutch and James Copenhaver, who were both injured at the event, will fully recover soon. Violent acts like these go against everything that we stand for as a community that is committed to democracy. We condemn any form of violence or intimidation that seeks to undermine our democratic values. No one should ever feel afraid for their life while expressing their political opinions, whether that's through speech, attending events, or running for office. As a county, it is our duty to uphold the integrity of our electoral process. Our role in administering elections that are free, fair, and without violence is paramount. This responsibility extends not only to our voters, but also to our employees, volunteers, friends, neighbors, and everyone in this room. Let us stand together in solidarity, reaffirming our commitment to democracy and ensuring that Montgomery County remains a beacon of electoral integrity and civic responsibility. Next, I want to congratulate my colleague and friend, Montgomery County Sheriff Sean Kilkenny, on his appointment as president of the Pennsylvania Sheriff's Association. Sheriff Kilkenny is here with us today. I'm going to ask you to stand.
Sure.
He's the third Montgomery County Sheriff to serve as PSA President and the first in more than 70 years. I know Sheriff Kilkenny will fulfill his duty as a PSA President with professionalism and passion. Additionally, please join me in congratulating the Sheriff's Honor Guard, who won the statewide competition at the PSA conference for the third year in a row. Today we have with us Deputy McMichael, Deputy Scott. I only see
I can. Yeah.
Deputy Smith and Deputy Filloon. So I want to congratulate our sheriff as well as the color guard. So I'll turn it over to you first.
Sure, I want to thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Winder, Commissioner McKeeja, Commissioner DeBella. Thank you, everyone here. I'm honored to be elected by my peers as the first president of the PSA, Pennsylvania Sheriff's Association for Montgomery County, in 71 years. There were two of my predecessors, the last one being in 1953, Sheriff Glass, who was a White Marsh resident, and then Sheriff Fox in 1924, who was a Skippack resident. Sheriff Fox, like me, was a huge baseball fan. Unfortunately, I had Oscar Gamble do a little research on him, and he attended a doubleheader of the Philadelphia A's at the time, and then died of a heart attack quickly after taking over the PSA presidency. So I hope not to end up like Sheriff Fox, but we all stand here on the shoulders of giants, and I would not be here without Chief Berry, all the deputies in my office, all of you that kind of raise us up and give me the opportunity to succeed here in Monco, which helps us lead in the Commonwealth. So I'm very honored to do that. But I also really want to mention our Honor Guard. We had a three-peat, third year in a row that we won. It was great. We even had we got a little crystal out of the incident. Maybe Deputy Filloon can talk a little bit about that as we're going around in the ballroom. Had some beautiful chandeliers there in York. We happened to hit one, and some crystal fell down. So they're taking the security deposit. Sorry, Dean. So we'll see what happens. So a three-peat, we won the statewide competition, and we have Deputies Filloon, Scott, and Smith here with us today. Deputy Lukens and McMichael cannot be present. So I want to turn it over to Deputy Filloon just to say a couple words.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you very much, Commissioners, for having us over here this morning. Thank you, Sheriff and Chief, for our support. This was like I said, our third year in a row. It was a big accomplishment for us. Our Honor Guard came a long way. We look forward to it every year. And we can't control the ballrooms that we present in. And unfortunately, I was carrying the American flag and we hit a chandelier, but we kept our bearing and
It's still
did well.
won.
So, yeah,
Still
thank you
won.
very much.
Yeah. Awesome. Congrats to you all. So
then
what do,
one-
I was going
Sure,
to say, what do they evaluate? Like, what are there categories that they evaluate you on? You get a
It's-
score? How does that work?
There are a list of rules. There's certain way we have to post the colors and retrieve the colors. They're looking for that,
Got
and then
it.
also make sure everybody's in sync with steps and everybody is in unison.
Got
So
it.
it's-
Okay. Congratulations.
And so one more thing. It was actually a three-peat in many ways for Montgomery County. So the sheriffs and deputies are a boisterous group. So after activities, we have a very vigorous cornhole tournament, right? And we had 16 teams, and I want to call up two members of the Montgomery County cornhole team right over here. That you can imagine, dinner ends about 9 o'clock. There are some beverages involved, a lot of people playing cornhole there at the Wyndham in York. And at 1:30 a.m., our team right here, Sergeant Niedzwiecki and Corporal Volk, brought it home for Montgomery County.
Nice.
Right over here, cornhole champions for Montgomery County. You want to say something?
I want to know what you were drinking.
We cannot say. It was a tough competition.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Did your shot get better before or after drinks?
Challenging night.
Good. Awesome.
So I want to give a round of applause for our. Thank you very much, Commissioner Moore.
Yeah, thanks for all that you guys do out in our community, and I'm glad you have opportunities to have a little fun while doing it. So congratulations. Thanks for making Monco proud. Anything else?
Thank you.
I was just thinking, congratulations for making my uncle proud, of course, is taking on your new role. I'm sure you'll do a great job. And then anytime you need a sub for a cornhole, bring, not me, Commissioner McKeisha, I hear throws a mean bag. But then congratulations for the three-peat on the color guard competition as well. It's just Montgomery County is awesome, and you guys are out there representing and demonstrating how awesome we really are. So again, congratulations and thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll just say I appreciate, everyone knows our sheriff is a huge history nerd, but every time he makes remarks, I realize how much deeper it goes. Which I appreciate that. So, but thank you,
Surprised.
congratulations, Steph.
Surprised that you have time for that, but, all right. All right, so last week, the Pennsylvania legislature agreed to a new state budget with Governor Shapiro signing it into law. I'd like to applaud increased funding in areas that will positively impact, have a positive impact on Montgomery County. This includes $550 million in economic development programs, including a new Main Street Matters program for our town, small business, and more funding to support minority-owned businesses. It also includes significant investment in affordable housing programs, such as increased funding for homelessness assistance and local government emergency housing programs for cities and counties. Additionally, there will be more funding for mental health and human services, domestic violence services, and an investment in addressing the causes of maternal mortality. I also want to give a shout out to the state legislature for bringing about menstrual products. $3 million is in the approved budget to bring menstrual products to public schools. So that was another big win for the budget. Unfortunately, this year's budget did not include a state minimum wage increase, which all three of us have supported and advocated for. I look forward to working with our state representatives and senators to bring dollars back to Montgomery County so that we can continue to work on revitalizing our main streets and addressing our housing needs. Next, this month I have the honor of announcing our Way to Go Monco winners for July, where we recognize some of our excellent workforce here at the county. This month's winners are Pamela Daniel. Is she here? Oh, there you are in the corner. Good. Deputy Administrator of Domestic Relations. Pamela revitalized her department's onboarding and redeveloped training material to be more effective and engaging. So your colleagues speak really highly of the work that you do, so congratulations to you. Kevin Foley, who is not here, District Court Clerk, District Court 38-1-03. Kevin is a detail-oriented and a problem solver. He continues the court's productivity and makes sure that the cases run smoothly. So congratulations to Kevin. Brandon Purcell, Hazardous Materials Program Administrator, Department of Public Safety. Brandon started in 2014 as an intern and worked his way up in our organization. His work with DPS and as a volunteer firefighter promote the safety and well-being of our residents. Congratulations to Brandon. Sonia Sanders, my friend, I've known her for a really long time. Congratulations to you, Senior Operations Manager in the Sheriff's Office. Sonia assisted with the rollout of a new e-filing and data systems, all with a smile and a kind word. Anytime you have to, anytime you have to deal with data systems and you have a smile, that's a win. She has an open door policy for anyone who needs help, and I know she's a big help to your office. So congratulations to you, Sonia. And then, Stuart Sam?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are, okay. Assessor, Board of Assessments, thank you for being here. Stuart has a great team attitude and is always there to give a helping hand and is supportive to everyone within all levels of your department. So congratulations to you, thank you for being here. We're gonna have all the Way to Go winners come up for a picture. So if you come behind the dais.
Thank you. Hi, thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations for being here.
Okay. Okay.
That's good. Yep, you're good. Thank you.
Great, congrats again.
Thank you.
Exactly. The chair mover. All right, and last but not least, as we get ready for the new school year, Montgomery County's Department of Health and Human Services is collecting items for their back-to-school drive. These donations will go towards low-income families who are served by the county. If you are able to donate, please drop items off to the Human Services Center at 1430 DeKalb Street in Norristown. So now I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Makisha for some remarks.
Thank you so much. So I want to just start by echoing Commissioner Winder's comments on the events last Saturday and the attempted assassination of our former president, Donald Trump. And I think it's important for us to recognize that the FBI is investigating this, and in a moment that fortunately is not unprecedented in our history, it could be very easy to turn into further division that leads to further violence. And we all have a responsibility. The three of us as commissioners spoke and issued a statement together in response to what happened, and really recognize that it's a fundamental value in a democracy to respect the choices that others have. And there was an attempt to remove the preferred candidate, remove the choice from millions of Americans here in Pennsylvania. And we have this obligation locally to ensure that anyone who participates in political activity, whether it's attending a rally, whether it's simply trying to vote, whether it's being a candidate, is free from that fear of violence, because even the threat itself can be intimidating and suppress our fundamental rights to vote and to participate. So we've had many conversations in recent weeks with public safety, with the district attorney's office, with local law enforcement on what we're going to do to make sure that this election is safe and secure for all. And that's a conversation that's taking place across county. So I want people to be assured that there are plans that are in place, and our law enforcement is thinking about this every day. And as Commissioner Winder said, we're praying for those who were the victims, unfortunately, of what occurred on Saturday. And we're thankful for the leadership of our governor and everything that he has done with the Pennsylvania State Police in regard to those victims. I will speak more loudly. Yes, I will do that. So next, I'd like to just react to the state budget as well. We're incredibly thankful that $1 billion went to schools here in Montgomery County, or sorry, don't want everyone to get too excited.
Yeah, not Montgomery County.
$1 billion went to help adequately fund schools to meet the Pennsylvania Constitution's obligations for adequate funding. And much of the funding will go to schools that have been underserved through by virtue of our system of property tax financing of schools, and we expect Norristown to receive, I think, significant funding as a result, and potentially a few other school districts
Pottstown,
in Montgomery County, including Pottstown. We'll have more specific numbers in the days to come, but I think that's long overdue, and it's really exciting to see that our legislature got together to make that happen. There are a number of other things in the budget, including funding for mental health, that are going to be important for us, as well as across the Commonwealth. There are a couple of things that we'd like to see, including raising the minimum wage that the three of us have agreed upon, and also the three of us wrote a letter in regard to whole home repairs. That unfortunately was not funded this time, but we remain committed to overseeing the projects that are currently being undertaken in Montgomery County, and recognizing that there's a 10x demand for the resources in the whole home repairs bill. So that's something that I look forward to advocating for, as well as additional transit infrastructure funding. SEPTA there's going to be a conversation about how to fund SEPTA going into the fall, and it's important for us as county officials to be very involved in that, including seeking additional ways to raise revenue for infrastructure. So July is Disability Pride Month, and I want to recognize one individual and just speak broadly. It's been since 1990 that the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed. It was passed with overwhelming bipartisan support and is one of the most transformative pieces of civil rights legislation in the last 35 years. And one of the things that's important for us as a county to think about how we can make sure that we are doing our best to fully accommodate people with disabilities, to fully support initiatives that do so. And we wanted to highlight one initiative in particular, which I'll tell you in a second. But there's a wide range of services that we provide that are important for programs with people with disabilities, including early intervention for young children who may have developmental disabilities, behavioral health centers around the county, outreach in regard to Social Security disability insurance, and there's of course physical infrastructure that we think about when we think about ADA access, whether it's the new Justice Center, whether it's infrastructure around transit in the county. There are a number of places where we have to think consistently about how we make sure that county services are available to everyone, regardless of their disability status. So one of the things that we'd like to present for this month is someone who's just been a letter of commendation.
Yeah, not condemnation.
Sorry, I've had a cold.
Yeah, that's okay.
I've had a
I'm
cold
here to
all
assist
week.
you. It's okay.
So we're no letters of condemnation. Letter of commendation to someone who's been a trailblazer working in the county. And that is a Horsham native named Kelsey McGuire. Is she here today? Is Kelsey here? Please stand up, Kelsey. So Kelsey's a teacher at Overbrook School for the Blind in Philadelphia. She's a Horsham native. If you're a fan of the NHL, you may know Kelsey's the founder of Philadelphia Blind Hockey. And it's one of 19 blind hockey leagues that have been established around the country in recent years. And for her work growing the Philadelphia program, the NHL recently named Kelsey as a finalist for the 2024 Willie O'Ree Community Award. And she has grown the Philadelphia blind hockey program to include 8 young skaters that practice at Hatfield Ice. And you may wonder how it works because even people who are not visually impaired, will have difficulty playing ice hockey. Do not see me on the rink at any time. But there's simple accommodations that can be made. A larger puck, putting ball bearings so that you can hear the puck on the ice, that make it possible for people to play hockey who might not otherwise think so. And I want to say, I watched a video that the NHL posted about the program that you did, and just hearing the individuals who are playing who didn't think that they themselves could play hockey was incredibly inspiring. And it really shows how important your work is because you're letting people feel what's possible in circumstances that they thought were impossible. And that is something that we want to carry through so much of what we do when we think about disability access and really just raising young people in general to dream. So I want to bring Kelsey up to present the letter of commendation with our commissioners and just thank you for all the great work that you do.
Thank you.
So, on one final but related note, I have one other thing after that, but the Summer Olympics are upon us, and those start on July 26th in Paris, and we actually have 2 Montgomery County residents who will be representing the United States when the Olympics begin next week, and we'd like to congratulate Ashley Sessa. She's 20 years old, from Schwenksville, who's named to the field hockey team, and Ariana Ramsey, who's a 24-year-old from Bridgeport, who's a member of the women's rugby 7 squad. We also have the Paralympics that start in August, and there's 3 Pennsylvanians who are set to compete there. We're rooting for you and know that you'll represent the Commonwealth and Montgomery County well. So just want to note that. And then finally today, we're going to vote on a contract for our mail-in ballot and ballot printer vendor, which I think a lot of people have been paying attention to in the last couple months. The company's called Phoenix Graphics, and I just want to thank my fellow commissioners for doing their due diligence. It took several months to get to this point to find a vendor that was going to meet the standards that we were looking for. They have guaranteed us a 3-day turnaround time on ballots, which was not in any previous contracts we've had, which I think is really important to make sure that every voter has enough time to return their ballot. I want to thank our staff, our COO, Lee, as well as Frank Dean, our Director of Elections, John Marlatt, Ben Field, our solicitor, and Tom Bonner, our Deputy COO. I think 3 of you went to Rochester, made the trip, met with the print vendor, saw everything up close. I hope to do that myself in the coming weeks, but we'll talk more about it on election board. Frank can give you an update, but I feel very confident and look forward to voting for that today. And I'll turn it over to Commissioner DeBello.
When they went to Rochester, did they bring back a bean or cornhole tournament badge? No?
You working on that? You could.
That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
It's beautiful this time of year, by the way.
That it
Rochester,
is.
yeah.
That it is. So, I'm going to be short because I got a lot of comments for later in the meeting. So you're right. I mean, Saturday was a very unfortunate situation that occurred. It's demonstrated the worst of what could happen in our election system. I agree with what you said earlier, that no matter who candidates are, who your elected officials are, who's representing you at the ballot boxes, that violence is never acceptable. This is, our whole system is built on the election process. You know, people run for positions. Sometimes a lot of them are volunteer positions. You know, your school boards, your townships, and you know, even if you disagree throughout the time that they're elected official, does not mean that gives you the opportunity to do anything violent towards those individuals. And quite honestly, it doesn't actually give you the right to be making derogatory comments about the individuals, their family, their friends, their neighbors, whatever it may be. You know, way back when the political process was about, if you didn't agree with the politician or your elected official, you stated why you didn't agree with them and you moved on. And you know what's had the temperature in the elections over the last couple of years has gone way up the charts, and we have to dial it back. And that's why you hear us talk about this all the time, and I'm always very proud of the fact that the 3 of us, as your elected commissioners in Montgomery County, who are representing 2 different political parties, no matter where and when we disagree on something, we disagree, and then we move forward. We're driven, our goal is to, and our main objective is to do the best for Montgomery County, but more importantly, is for the 3 of us to work together, to, try to be, we're friends. We talk about weekends and family and everything else with each other. We're very supportive of each other, both what we do here and in our personal lives. That's what the whole system's supposed to be. And when we do disagree, we disagree, and that's it. We walk, during a meeting, somebody votes no. When we leave the meeting, we're in the hallway, we're talking about the weekend or whatever, and we're moving on. And we're trying to demonstrate that good leadership in Montgomery County, and we're hoping that the leadership that we're demonstrating continues to ripple throughout Montgomery County, and who knows, maybe it's the start of a new trend in the election. I'm sorry, elected officials. I do want to, there was one individual, as mentioned, that lost his life during that event, Corey Compitor. And I'm just going to read, because I thought that this was a very powerful statement that was put out by his daughter. And so I'm going to take my time to just read this, if that's okay. So Allison Compitor basically wrote this and said, "Yesterday time stopped, and when it started again, my family and I started living a real life nightmare. What was supposed to be an exciting day that we had all booked or looked forward to, especially my dad, turned into the most traumatizing experiences someone could imagine. I knew the media will cover this event, and I'm going to try my best to stay away from looking at everything, especially because I've already seen and lived through in real time. But I want everyone to know that the media will not cover and will not say about him. He was the best dad a girl could ever ask for. My sister and I never needed for anything. You called, he would answer, and he would do whatever it was you need, whatever it is you needed. If he didn't know how, he would figure it out. He could talk and make friends with everyone, which he was doing all day yesterday, and loved every minute of it. He was a man of God, loved Jesus fiercely, and also looked after our church and our members as a family. The media will not tell you that he died a real-life superhero. They are not going to tell you how quickly he threw my mom and I to the ground. They are not going to tell you that he shielded my body from the bullet that came at us. He loved his family. He truly loved us enough to make a real bullet for us, to take a real bullet for us. And I want nothing more to cry on. I want nothing more than to cry on him and tell him thank you. I want nothing more than to wake up for this not to be reality for me and my family. We lost selfish, loving husband, father, brother, uncle, son, and friend. I will never stop thinking about him and mourning over him until the day that I die too. July 13th will ever be a day that changed my life. I will never be the same person I was less than 24 hours ago. There are a lot of children out there that they say their dad is their hero, but my dad really is mine. I don't think I would be here today without him. Dad, I love you so much that there aren't enough words to express how deep the love goes. I know you'll give heaven some hell. I know that God is proud of the man that came to his gates yesterday. And I just wanted to read that because it's a very powerful message, and these are just human beings that were out enjoying an event of a political leader that they supported, and they did not deserve to die, and they did not deserve to lose a family member. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. A daughter's love for their father, so, yeah, we'll continue to pray for their family. Okay. All right, next up, we're going to have Jesse King to do a,
Here he is.
there he
I
is.
like how he's grand entrance from the
Yeah.
hallway.
Like Kramer.
Needed some walk-in music. Okay. All right, Jesse's going to give us an update on the Justice Center project.
Great, thank you for having me today. It's a privilege to be able to give a second update to this board on our County Justice Center project. As you know, we did do an initial update for this administration in February of 2024. During that presentation, the focus really was on bringing the group up to speed on what we were doing. How the project originated, what went into the thinking of how we were going to do it. We set goals, we set accomplishments that we hope to achieve, we set guiding principles, and then we came out with an implementation plan through these 3 phases to bring this project to fruition. Today I want to pivot a little bit and go in a different direction, I want to talk about the construction progress that we've already done. You know, what can we actually tangibly show this group and the people tuning in online and the people in this room that don't have the ability to get beyond those fences, to go into the building, to see really what's been going on in the last few months. So I'm excited to share those achievements. We're going to do that through some renderings and some pictures that we've taken just recently. But before we do that, next slide, please. I just want to touch briefly on some of the things we talked about in February. We developed a campus development plan back in, I want to say 2014, that really set the roadmap for how this was going to go forward, and we're sticking to that. We also developed guiding principles. These principles are not just stated and then forgotten. These live in the project. So every decision that we make, every direction that we go in, we try to look to these principles before making those decisions. We can see the impact firsthand when we look at the work completed, when we look to these principles. One example is modern. I added respectful here because we're including a couple of these principles in one, contextual and modern. The idea is that we want to build a modern state-of-the-art facility, but we want it to be respectful of the historic nature of the existing courthouse. That's a big lift, and our design team, I think, did a wonderful job of trying to design, you know, a brand new modern facility and then meshing that and respecting the values of a almost 170-year-old building. When we look to the work that has been completed, specifically to the facade on that building, and we'll show pictures of that in a moment, the colors that they chose, the tinted glass, the layout of the stacking of the building, and even the concrete fins that are serving protection on the south side of the building do a wonderful job of activating, not just complementing the courthouse, I think they are activating some of the historical elements of that building. And it's really nice to see. It's exciting to go out there and walk around the building and really see how the two are going to blend together. And that will go a step further when we move into phase 3, and we're able to see, you know, the new finishes on the existing courthouse and how they mesh back to the Justice Center South, which will have been completed at that point. Next slide, please. I do want to talk briefly about implementation of the project. As you're well aware, this is a 3-phase project. Phase 1 was the demolition of the existing parking garage in Hancock Square Park, as well as a part of the existing courthouse. That project was completed in spring of 2022, and it came in under budget. We are currently in phase 2. We are trending for a completion date in the third quarter of 2025. Our anticipated cost at completion is just over $238 million, with a budget that was set in 2017/18 at $228 million. It is noteworthy that that is only a just over 4.4% variance from the budget that was set back years ago. The county is extremely fortunate that those contracts were awarded at that time in light of the historic inflationary pressures that have impacted the construction industry over those years. So again, we are fortunate that that number is only at 4.4% at this point. And we have controls in place to keep it at that point. Transitioning to phase 3. Phase 3. Procurement for phase 3, awarding the contracts is set to take place, or starting that process, is set to take place in the fourth quarter of 2024. Anticipated completion is the second quarter of 2027, and our current budget of $92 million, again set back in 2017, 2018, again is $92 million. It should be noted that that will likely be adjusted as we move into this next phase because we do not have the benefit of avoiding those inflationary pressures when that contract is awarded. Next slide, please. So this is the fun part, construction progress. What have our teams been doing over there over the last few months? Next slide. Just briefly, we could have highlighted a number of things. These are the most tangible and I think easiest to visualize at this point. But construction of the expanded Hancock Square Park is underway. The building enclosure system is nearing completion. Courtroom construction is progressing. And it should be noted that there are 17 new courtrooms in that facility, plus a grand jury room. So a total of 18 courtroom-style buildings or rooms. They are progressing. Framing and drywall installation is progressing throughout the building, and 90 to 95% of mechanical controls have been installed. Next slide, please. So this gives a good picture of where we are with Hancock Park. So 2011 was the existing building. You can see the planters there to the right. It was more of a concrete fortress at that point with a smaller grass area to the left. That part was all demoed in 2022, as you see the new building rising and where the park will now be situated. And if next slide, please. This is the work that's been completed at this point. Much of the hardscaping and grading is complete. Landscaping will be the next really impactful thing to that part of the project. That cannot take place until the facade is complete because a lot of the construction equipment that's around the site, so we need to make sure that we get that out of there before we start planning things that could be ruined. It is noteworthy, though, that a number of the monuments have been moved back to the area. Next slide, please. So this is what I was talking about, the facade. We walked around yesterday, actually, to try to find a really good shot that shows the different elements of the facade. You see the precast fins at the bottom. They cover the southern-facing side and a portion of the eastern-facing side of the building. They provide a level of protection for the individuals or departments working behind those because of lines of sight. They do have glass behind those fins, so there is the ability for some light to come in, but they do provide an extra level of protection for those county employees working in that section of the building. The glass portion at the top is not yet complete. I'm getting reports that it's in the ballpark of 75 to 85% complete at this point. Again, we are looking for completion of the full facade and to have the building weather tight in the next few months. Next slide, please. So we thought it would be interesting to see the rendering next to where we are currently in the construction process. This is looking out the Swede Street entrance. So the building will have two entrances, one at Swede Street and one off of Main Street that enters near the cafe. This being the Swede Street entrance that moves into kind of the Great Hall entrance area of the new facility. Sort of the center where you can get information and go through main security and then find your way into other areas of the building. Again, much of the framing has been completed. The glass is starting to go in and it's really starting to take shape. Next slide, please. We mentioned the 17 courtrooms throughout the facility. We are, at last report, have completed about 70% of the marble installation in those courtrooms. There is some work to be done, but without the drywall having been installed at this point and walking around those courtrooms, you get an opportunity to see the vast array of audio digital equipment that's going into those walls, the conduit, the lines that will really make them state-of-the-art courtrooms. So, and that goes back to some of our guiding principles that we want it to be modern, we want it to be efficient. These courtrooms will be wired as good as they can be, and it will really benefit the operations that are going on in those buildings to have the ability to uniformly across all those courtrooms present the materials that they need to present. Next slide, please. This, although not as completed as some of the other areas, this is a shot of the cafe area. Again, a lot of excitement about this because right now, so I've worked for the county for 20 years. There hasn't always been a good place for employees to gather, to take some time off or to grab a cup of coffee. This will be a beautiful spot for that. It is right off of Main Street. It's as you first come into the building. It is starting to come together. The glass hasn't been installed at this point, but there is building excitement about that, what that will bring to not only the visitors, but the people that work in the building. Next slide, please. Again, interior walls framed, drywalled, and primed. We have not begun painting at this point because the building is not completely enclosed, and we would be concerned about moisture entering the building. So we're holding off on that, but as you can see, the work continues. Fact I learned this week, doors do not go in until the very end because they can be broken. So they're the easiest thing to break, apparently. So when you don't see doors, it's not because we're not ready to put them in. We need to wait till everything else is done, and then they'll start going in. Next slide, please. Again, another courtroom area. You see the framing going in, just really give you an idea. You see a lot of the mechanical work also up in the upper, the roof area. It's really getting there. A lot of the work is being done. Next slide. So again, going back to some of the things we wanted to accomplish through the plan was security and accessibility in the new facility. And I chose this because this is a great example of an operation that will be directly impacted by this new building. That's a picture of the Sally Port and the loading dock behind the new facility, and that's one of our county transport vehicles. Currently, the operation, which is sufficient but not ideal, is that those being transported to the facility are parked out on a public street, get out of the vehicle, and then are escorted into the courthouse. Not ideal. With an eye at improving that operation, we created a Sally Port, and they look small in that photo, but they're huge, where the buses are actually able to drive directly into the building, unload their passengers. Not only does it give a sense of security and privacy to that operation, but I'd also like to add that it gives a level of dignity to those that are exiting those vehicles and entering the courthouse. Next slide, please. As you enter from the Main Street exit, you are met with the main, after getting through security, you are met with the monumental stairs, which are not finished, but they're coming along, that will take you up to that main hall area where you will then find your way to where you're going in the building. Next slide, please. So, looking forward, what do we hope to accomplish in the next few months? The building will be weather tight shortly. After that, we will turn on the HVAC system to acclimate the climate inside the building. That will lead, at that point, that will lead to really ramping up the interior trades to allow them to do more work in a temperature-controlled facility. Later on, we'll see the coordination installation of furniture and equipment, and also the landscaping of, like I mentioned before, of Hancock Square, Park. Next slide, please. So finishing phase 2 is one thing, but there is a mountain of work that will need to be done when we transition into phase 3. And we aren't waiting for that. Our teams are underway, getting everything done that needs to be done so that this transition is smooth when we do initiate it after the completion of the Justice Center South. Coordination of swing space, Q4 2024. So that's saying that some of it will be done in Q4. We're already working on it. And for those that don't know what swing space is, when we do phase 3 and we do a complete gut rehab of the existing courthouse, all the operations, or many of the operations that are in that building, will need to find a new home while it's renovated and then go back into the courthouse. So we are underway developing and building temporary swing spaces for those departments, many of which will be housed here in One Montgomery Plaza. We're also working, our design team and our construction management team, on creating the documents for procurement of the phase 3 contracts. This has been going on for quite some time. It is an extensive process. We are hoping to have those for presentment to this board in the fourth quarter of 2024. It will not be immediate after that those contracts are awarded. That is a long process to select the primes that will receive contracts, vet them, and then develop the legal documents needed to get them signed and get the work going. But we anticipate, again, that work to begin hopefully in 2025. And then going back for a second, occupancy of the Justice Center South, third quarter 2025. There is a lot of work that goes into making sure that our operations run smoothly when that transition happens. We actually started meetings with the departments that are impacted this week to talk about things like security, to do dry runs, to make sure that IT is capable or is ready to have everybody flip the switch and have everything work when we move into that building. So it would be foolish and to wait any longer before we start prepping to move into that building, even if it is a little over a year off from now. Next slide, please. I did want to show briefly a few slides about the swing space that's being built in this building. Specifically, these are the judicial chambers and court administrative areas that will provide, hopefully they're done later this year, and then we'll move them in during the first quarter of 2025. Next slide. So it's not a total gut rehab, but we are reconfiguring the space on the first floor to build offices that are appropriate for judicial staff and for the bench and their clerks. Next slide, please. You can see here that most of the judges, these are all new offices they've built. They're new framing, just up to the ceiling. We walked with the court staff on late last week, and they were very much in approval of what we're doing. So it's coming along. We've got some changes to make, but you know, when you see all the construction going on in this building, that's part of the swing space coordination to get everybody ready to transition into phase 3. Again, next slide, please. I want to thank you for this board's desire for transparency with these projects, and I look forward to another update in the coming months.
Thanks, Jesse. I oftentimes, when we have our internal meetings, I forget that you're leading this complex, comprehensive project. So I want to just thank you for your leadership and the team that you have working to really bring this project, bring this project to life.
Thank you.
So what questions do we have for Jesse? Anything? Okay. Do you have anything? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, thank you very
Good?
much.
Thank you.
No, I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I thought-
I
yeah.
thought it was like, mm-mm.
No, no.
Okay. It was
A couple quick questions. So the time to complete phase 2 is, we're still looking at third quarter, like for your next
Yeah.
year.
Our most recent scheduling estimates are third quarter of 2025. And
What-
again, there are unknowns that impact that schedule.
That was going to be my next question is, what could prevent that from happening?
Supply chain issues, coordination between design elements of different aspects of the building meshing together and being approved by our architectural team. We work through those problems when they come up as quickly as we can, but they're unknowns. So I can't speak freely on exactly what those issues would be moving forward. I can tell you that we have requested recovery schedules from the primes to determine if there is time we can take out of that delay moving forward. So we are awaiting those recovery schedules from the primes.
Okay. So I'm curious about the drywall exposure that's currently occurring. I know some of it I see is green board up, so that's, a little bit more from a moisture standpoint. But we also have, a lot of drywall that's been exposed or still is exposed. When you get the building completely enclosed, is there any type of drying effort to make sure that all the moisture is pulled out before you turn on the HVAC systems, or?
So we have inspectors that walk the building every day to identify areas where there may have been moisture infiltration into the building. It is pointed out to the prime contractors, and they must immediately take the drywall out. So which there are portions, I don't know the exact number, but there are portions just about daily that if we have a significant rain event, they are taking it out proactively so that we don't encounter that situation at the end of the project. I am not aware of a system to ensure dryness after the project is complete. I do know that we would have inspectors in the building throughout every phase of drywall being hung to ensure that nothing is painted over that did receive moisture.
Right. So I was just gonna say, are they doing visual inspections on the moisture, or they have moisture meters that they're checking?
At this point, I believe it's visual, but that is something we can look into for sure.
Yeah, I'm just
It would,
concerned
might be
because.
wise, yes.
Huh?
Yes,
Yeah, I'm just, but, I mean, I know you use metal studs, right?
yep.
Yeah, so that helps a little bit, but still, there's been, because I know that we have conversations about how long the building was over the winter that was left unexposed, or was exposed, so, it's just something I want to, I'm
It
concerned
is an
about.
absolutely valid concern,
Yeah.
and we address it weekly at our operations meetings with the teams on making sure that those inspections are taking place and that compromised material is removed.
Well, they should think about moisture meters as well, from,
I will make that suggestion.
going throughout the building, especially the top part.
Yep.
Okay, and then you talked about the 4.4% budget overrun. Is that a 4.4% budget overrun that we're gonna expect through the rest of this project, or are we just saying it's 4.4% today?
4.4% today.
So are we expecting additional budget overruns?
It would be unknowns with change orders that we aren't aware of at this point. We don't anticipate them, and we have controls in place to prevent that from happening.
Did you, when the building was approved, like, from the financing standpoint, was there like a contingency bucket of money that was put off to the side that would be used for overruns or change orders, or?
There is,
how's that being
there is
handled?
I believe it's hold on one second. Almost $6.1 million in contingency on this contract.
So we already burned that though, with the $10 million overrun.
No, I don't believe we have at this point.
Well, I thought you said we were over budget by 10 million. I thought it was the number on that one slide.
We were awarded, well, the contingency is for the contract. The award, the budget was what was anticipated in 2017.
Right.
The contracts came back higher, and then there's contingency built into the contracts. So the contracts came back near 238, where the budget was anticipated at 228. So the contingency is for unforeseen
Right.
occurrences during
Yeah.
the construction under those contracts.
So in other words, contractually, we signed contracts for 238.
Correct.
right? But the original budget was 228.
That's right.
But when the
Yep.
contracts came in, we were at 238.
Correct.
So of the 238, are we on budget? This is what you're saying? Or
We do have contingency approved at 4.3 million at this point, change orders of 4.3 million. So those would eat up that part of that $6 million contingency, yes.
Right.
But we have not hit the $6 million of contingency at this
Okay,
point.
so-
As of May, we had I want to say 1.8 million of remaining contingency.
Yeah, because I just want to make sure we're clear on this, because original budget is a number that when you go out to bid, that you're hoping, and
Right.
it's not unrealistic that when the bids come back, it's not unrealistic that you are above what was originally anticipated.
Correct.
And on a $228 million, $230 million plan, and coming in at $10 million higher with the bids, is not necessarily unrealistic. Because I don't want to give the impression that, we're just haphazardly running $10 million over budget.
No, it was,
Right.
the contracts were
Right, so the
awarded
contracts.
very much in line with the
Exactly.
anticipated budget.
Right, so and the contracts, there's a lot of movement over that time period in expenses when the contracts are coming in, which would basically cause the reason why the contracts came in a little higher.
Correct.
And then now you have the contingency, about $6 million that's in place to handle change orders or
Right.
or overruns, whatever. And that you're right now, $4 million eaten into that contingency.
Correct.
But as we drill down, based on when the bids were awarded, we're on budget
Yes.
with that project.
Yes.
I mean, so you understand what I'm trying to.
No,
distinguish between-
I do understand.
Right, because, and we continue to watch that very closely.
Correct.
Is what
And
we're
we
saying.
would certainly include a variation from that in our next update.
Right.
If things changed where we
Yeah.
look to be over that budget from the awarded contracts. It's a good question. Thank you.
Right, all right, well, again, I just wanted to be a little bit more clear on what you were saying. I got it, I
I
understand.
apologize if it wasn't clear. I know, you
So I'm
obviously
good.
know what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
Yeah, but I just wanted to, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're off the hook. Thanks, Jesse.
Now, do we have exit music for him?
We need after that, yeah. Next time. All right, now we're up to public comment. So this section of public comment is for today's pending votes, resolutions, bids, RFPs, and contracts. And it's limited to 3 minutes. So who do we have on for public comment?
Up first, we have David Morgan.
Mr. Morgan.
Good morning, David Morgan from Ambler. And to be brief, I'm concerned about Exhibit B17, the 35 law firms that have been awarded an undisclosed open amount, because we have secured Mr. Field in the solicitor's office, and we've worked with him, and he has staff. So as a taxpayer, I just was wondering why, I've never seen such a list of law firms before, and if there's a special need, why this is occurring, if there's some,
So this is in the event that we need to hire outside counsel. We're not awarding these firms any money at this point. So is that?
precaution.
That is correct. This is a list of firms, a sort of pre-qualification, if you will, in the event matters come up that require specialized expertise or outside counsel assistance because they're beyond the capacity of the county's internal resources. It is not an actual contract award at this time to perform services.
Nothing pending, I guess, nothing to be concerning right now. It's just to be prepared if something comes up.
Exactly.
Thanks.
Correct, yep. That's it? Mr. Morgan, thank you.
Up next, we have Mel Lee.
That's a good question.
All right. Yeah, Melanie.
Good morning,
Okay.
Commissioners and senior officers. My name is Melly, and I'm the executive director of Uri Center, a grassroots Asian American organization based in Montgomery County. First of all, I want to extend my sincere thanks to all the commissioners for each of your public commitments to increasing language access to the ballot for the API communities in Montgomery County. Your responses to the 2023 candidate survey conducted by Uri Center, along with the 15 other local organizations, including the Korean American Association, represented by James Kim, the chairperson today, demonstrate united community support to this
So
important issue.
ma'am, so.
I understand.
So
Yep.
I'm just going to ask, your comments are valid, but I just need to do them at the end of the meeting.
Okay,
At the end,
do you-
the next section of public comment.
Okay.
Okay? If you wouldn't mind holding that for
Yes,
for us?
okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
I know this is your first time, so if you guys wouldn't mind staying, and then we'll.
So we did double check with Commissioner Makiza's staff, this is the session really that.
No,
'cause-
you're right. There's
Yeah,
two
okay.
sections of public comment, so I'm just going to ask that you do it at the end of the last.
This section is based on
I-
agenda items.
Yes.
And then there's another comment period at the end of the meeting for anything that's
Yeah, just-
business, county
Okay,
business.
so-
At the end, you come
Thank
back
you.
up.
Okay.
And you'll get another round of applause when you come back up.
Everybody does that on the first time.
Right.
Okay, so,
So the next public comment was also from, I believe, the same group. So Jung Hwan Hong and the translator Jay Lee. So if those comments were going to be similar, we'll hold those
I would
as well.
imagine they're similar.
Okay, all
Okay.
right. So that is the end of public comment.
oh, okay. Next up, I'd like to make a motion to approve the June 27th, 2024 minutes of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I'd like to invite Kaylee Silver up for the approval of the Housing and Community Development 2024 Annual Action Plan.
Good morning, Commissioners and staff. Thank you for having me here today to talk about the approval to submit our 2024 Annual Action Plan to the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. Next slide, please. So I'd like to just very quickly go over how Montgomery County has an entitlement of 3 HUD grants each year. The first one is the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG. This was established in 1974 and is one of the longest running programs out of HUD. It helps fund local community development activities with the goal of providing affordable housing, anti-poverty programs, infrastructure development, and primarily benefits low and moderate income neighborhoods as well as any slum and blight. This entitlement grant comes to us on a formula basis to the county, and is all activities must meet a national objective. Another note for the CDBG program is that primarily it supports infrastructure activities at the municipal level, again for low and moderate income residential neighborhoods, and has a 15% statutory cap on any public services or nonprofit services. Next slide, please. Our next HUD entitlement grant is the Home Investment Partnerships Program. This provides formula grants to fund a wide range of activities, primarily to create affordable housing for low-income households. The home funds can be used for grants, direct loans, loan guarantees, or other forms of credit enhancements. Traditionally, we have provided deferred 1% loan interest for new affordable housing construction development, but have also helped it with some home repair programs and other affordable housing initiatives. We do have a match on this program of 25 cents of every dollar, 25%. We'll talk about that in a second. Next slide, please. The last but smallest federal HUD entitlement grant is the Emergency Solutions Grant Program, or ESG. This is specific to homeless services. It helps with street outreach, emergency shelter, as well as rapid rehousing. There is a 60% cap again on emergency shelter or street outreach services, and the rest of the 40% is often used for our rapid rehousing activities. Next slide, please. So these three allocations that we received this year, you'll see on this slide, our Community Development Block Grant Program has ranged around the 3.3 to 3.5 million. This year, 3.3 million. That's stayed pretty steady since the 1990s, quite frankly, from the federal government. Our home allocation is 1.2. That was an unfortunate 15% cut from the federal level this year, but we do have some contingency funds from these loan repayments that I mentioned earlier to help us increase our home allocation this year. And as I mentioned, the ESG, the Homeless Services one, is our smallest grant, federal entitlement grant at $288,458. So before we go on to the next slide, when in preparation for receiving these entitlement grants, we put out an application to the public for these grants and put out a list of proposed projects for a required 30-day public comment period. That 30-day public comment period and the proposed list of funding projects, which we'll go over in a minute, lasted from June 6th to July 6th with a hybrid public hearing held on June 20th. We were pleased to engage with the community around these proposed projects. We're met with support and no substantial changes were made to the list of suggested or proposed projects at this time. Next slide, please.
Okay, before you,
Oh,
okay,
sure.
quick question, before we go into the HUD. The CDBG, try to say that 3 times fast. It's the same allocation that we've been getting since the 90s?
It has remained pretty steady at the federal level, that is correct.
So is there some, because obviously things have changed in the last 20 plus years, right?
Yes.
But there's no way of, I mean, I'm sure you try, I'm not saying that, but is there, I mean, what prevents us from getting your cost of living type increases since the 90s?
Sure. The federal allocation is done again on this formula basis that within the statute. There are advocacy groups at the national level, which we also support as well, to kind of provide information to HUD and the federal level around the need for increases for this really wonderful and successful program.
Yeah, but no success with getting the increases.
Unfortunately not.
So the contingency funds that you have in place, that's basically coming from our operational expenses then, right, or our budget?
Those are also loan repayments as well for the CDBG program.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And then same thing with the home allocation, you said that, if I heard, that's dropped 15%?
That is correct, this year, yes.
Right, is that, how does it equate to previous years? Has that been steady and then it just dropped, or has it been going down, or does it fluctuate?
This is the most significant percentage cut in quite some time at the federal level, very unfortunately. So in 2023, our federal allocation was $1,492,000. So it has always hovered. Apologies. It has hovered around 1.5.
That's okay, I'll call back.
It has hovered around 1.5 million each year.
I'm just trying to, I get that,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand the allocations. that you said it dropped, but has there been years it's been higher?
At 17%. We do have in there as well, sorry for the coloring here, in the purple you see our Section 108 loan repayment. That is a repayment of a loan that was taken out in 2010, and we have to repay until 2030. We are also funding emergency shelter under that 15% statutory cap, as I mentioned, as well as the 60% cap on the ESG program. Public facility improvements, housing rehabilitation, rapid rehousing, street outreach, and planning and administration hitting at 9% there.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
It sounds like we need to take a quick pause and do a reset of the audio.
Recess or just pause?
Like 2 or 3 minutes?
2-minute reset of a button, that's all.
Okay.
Just to restart the system.
No, thank you, I don't think.
I can where's your cook anyway?
We're good, thank you.
You're back on.
All right. I think we'll go to the next slide, please. State and local grants as well. So, and that was put out on the project list for the public comment. That includes funding from the Pennsylvania Human Services Block Grant. Our office takes the initiative to also apply to Pennsylvania's ESG HUD program. That's a competitive competition just so that we can maximize our funding for homeless services. So we got some state ESG, our Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and then some Health Choices reinvestment projects. So the executive summary of the proposed activities and projects that we are requesting to fund are on the screen here. You'll see a bulk of that being emergency shelter operations at 32%, affordable housing development match at 28%, street outreach services at 17%, rapid rehousing at 6%, more housing rehabilitation, income and disability outreach, and administration and program operations at 10%. So to get quickly into the projects, these were the projects proposed and put out to the community for the 30-day public comment period. To keep those same categories at the executive summary level, you're going to see projects in here that are funded both by federal HUD entitlement grants as well as those match grants. So here are the municipal improvement projects, again, really highlighting that these are all municipal improvement projects in low and moderate income residential neighborhoods. So these represent street, park, sewer improvements for low and moderate income neighborhoods that help them have stable, healthy lives in their neighborhoods. You see Bridgeport, Pottstown, Royersford, Schwenksville, Red Hill, West Pottsgrove, East Greenville, and Lansdale. And we're really pleased to potentially support these projects. Emergency shelter operations and staffing includes significant support for our supportive services and sheltering, either through hoteling or site-based services, for Resources for Human Development for single adults, as well as our 2 Salvation Armies for families experiencing homelessness, Laurel House, our emergency shelter for persons experiencing domestic violence, and then our 2 Family Promise emergency shelter programs that serve families experiencing homelessness as well. Next slide, please. Public facility improvements, our public facilities are, again, through the CDBG program, this idea of kind of community centers or centers for people with special needs. So we're pleased to propose funding for the new Aclamo Community Center in Norristown, as well as some accessibility improvements at a home for people with developmental disabilities at Indian Creek Foundation. Next slide, please. Housing rehabilitation includes, again, projects that really help with the preservation and stability of affordable housing stock in our community, which is a, huge initiative. This includes improvements and safety and stability for our public housing stock with the Robert Smith Towers, more funding to supplement whole home repairs program, some rental housing rehab for naturally occurring affordable housing, acquisition and rehab for home ownership with Habitat for Humanity, and acquisition and rehab and resale for home ownership in the Pottstown neighborhood. Next slide, please. Increasing our rental assistance and rapid rehousing programs through the Your Way Home program includes that 40% ESG set aside for the Your Way Home Housing Resource Center and the rapid rehousing programs. Working and partnering with our Office of Children and Youth and Carson Valley Children's Aid for a special family reunification rapid rehousing program. Ongoing assistance to help family services for a rental assistance program with households with HIV/AIDS, and then rapid rehousing specifically targeted towards youth experiencing homelessness. This one is specifically a match for another federally funded program through Continuum of Care. And lastly, affordable housing development. The majority of this is set aside for new construction of affordable housing, with specific projects to be named in collaboration with the state and our low-income housing tax credit, or LIHTC awards, for new affordable housing construction. We're really pleased with the LIHTC awards we received this past year, and then look forward to pairing this money as well with the LIHTC applications that will be going in by developers to the state this year. We're also having some set aside with reinvestment dollars for specific projects that are in the pipeline, including Cypress Place with Mission First, Advanced Living Durstein Reserve, which will be a senior affordable housing development, as well as 2 upcoming senior affordable housing developments with Penrose. Next slide, please. And last but not least, on the project list, I lumped this under other, our 2 street outreach programs, which were recently actually awarded and covered by the RFP, which we're using some of these federal funds to cover. Housing Equality Center of Pennsylvania, fair housing, compliance and education and training to multiple providers throughout the county. I mentioned the Section 108 loan repayment again. And then our SOAR program, which is an evidence-based program to help connect persons experiencing homelessness or with severe mental health disabilities, connect to Social Security income and disability benefits. And then administration and program operations, which I mentioned falls below the 10% mark. Next slide. So the resolution proposed to you today, if approved, will then allow us to submit this plan to HUD for their final adoption and acceptance of the plan. So thank you for your consideration, and happy to answer any questions.
Great. I'm going to get a motion on the table, and then we can have board comment. So I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 1 as described by Ms. Kaylee Silver. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Makija. Any board comment? No? Okay.
Thank you for doing a
Thank
great
you for
job.
all your hard work on
Thank you.
this.
Thank you.
So moving on to a vote, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next up, authorization to transfer funds to the Montgomery County Redevelopment Authority for a Monco Forward loan to St. Rocco's Treats. Steve Forrester, Director of Commerce.
Good morning, Commissioners. I think it's still morning, correct? Before you today for consideration is the approval of the transfer of $105,035 from the county to the RDA to make a Montco Forward loan in the same amount to St. Rocco's Treats LLC, the proceeds of which will be used to finance machinery and equipment to help St. Rocco's scale up production. The Montco Forward Loan Program is a cooperative initiative between the Montgomery County Redevelopment Authority and the county's Commerce Department designed to help businesses grow, increase productivity, and maximize the value of investments in the county. St. Rocco's was formed in 2020 by its owners, Colby and Kayla Brush, to make crumb-free dog treats. Colby and Kayla literally grew up in the pet food industry working for their father. Their father owns a pet food company, and as they were raised, they were working in manufacturing and distribution and sales, so they've literally lived the industry most of their life. Their location is presently in Pipersville in Bucks County, but they found needed expansion space on Berge Road in Hatfield in Montgomery County. Their new Hatfield location will provide needed manufacturing space to more than double production capacity. St. Rocco's has been incredibly successful, with gross revenue on pace to grow year over year by more than 50% in 2024 without any new production capacity. With the new capacity coming online in late summer, they expect to grow revenue by nearly 150% in 2024 over 2023 and create 6 new jobs in Montgomery County. The loan would carry a 10-year term, be fully self-amortizing, and have a 4.7% interest rate. Before coming to you today, the loan was thoroughly underwritten by a contracted underwriter who regularly performs this service for economic development organizations. The resulting credit memo and underlying documentation was reviewed by us, the Commerce Department, recommended for approval by the RDA Loan Review Committee, and approved by the RDA Board of Directors. Since inception, the Montco Forward Loan Program has made 9 loans, of which 3 have been fully repaid, and none have ever had a default that has gone uncured. We respectfully request your approval to transfer the $105,035 to the RDA to make this loan to St. Rocco's, subject to the approval of the county solicitor and other terms and conditions to be contained in the loan documents. We have today Alia Stanger from the RDA, as well as Colby Rush from St. Rocco's Dog Treats, and we're here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. I'm going to put a motion on the table first, and then we'll have some comment. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2 as described by Mr. Steve Forrester.
Mr.
I was gonna-
Steve
Well, I'm
Forrester.
just reading what it says here.
You got it, that's right.
I was gonna- Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Makija. Any board comment?
I just have a question, which is, do you have the data and tracking, I'm sure you do at the RDA or in Commerce, of every time there is a new business like this, you mentioned 6 jobs here, like, are you tracking others that, obviously those who've applied for loans, but I think it would be interesting to just better understand the growth and what's happening.
In the Montco Forward Loan Program?
Yeah, and other programs that we may have, yeah.
Sure, well, specific to the Montco Forward Loan Program, we have 7 different prospective applicants in our pipeline right now. This is one of them. We've got another 2 that are in underwriting right now. We've got another 2 that have made applications that are not yet complete, and we have 2 more in the pre-application process right now.
Got it. Okay.
So the comment that I wanted to make, first I thought it was like treats, like for people, but then I found out it was treats for dogs, and is it just dogs?
Just dogs right now.
Just dogs, that's okay.
I mean,
All right, so I will not
people,
I will not be eating any of those treats. But I will get some for my dog. Okay.
did bring some samples.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Come on.
Can we, is that allowed? Am I allowed to take a sample?
Not to eat it, you can't eat it.
Yeah, I can take a sample, okay.
Colby,
how big the room would be, but
At least you wait
Okay,
till
that's
after
okay.
the
So we'll put
vote.
some samples there.
After the
And if
vote.
anybody, yeah,
After the vote.
Yep,
Colby will tell you that the salmon treats are appropriate for cats as well.
okay,
I
just,
think they're dog people.
we'll just take care of some business. You know, but I just, before we move to vote, I just want to acknowledge the work that you are doing as our new Commerce Director. I know that we haven't had a lot of these loans in the past, and you've really worked to change the proactive nature and the way in which your department is working to find small, family-owned, women-owned, minority-owned businesses to support planting roots here in Montgomery County. So kudos to you and your team for building the pipeline. And this would be the first one under your leadership, right?
That's correct, Commissioner, and I would give credit to Alia Stanger from the RDA and to my staff person, Kaylin Langdon, who do a wonderful job of promoting this in all of their interactions with the community.
Thanks to the RDA as well. All right, other comments?
The other comment I'm going to make is that what we've talked offline regarding contracts, you know, and some of the things that I mentioned, I'd like to see potentially considered when we're looking at these in the future.
Certainly happy to discuss that with you at any time as well.
Yeah, okay, great. Moving to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we can have the dog treats.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Steve Forrester.
Yeah, I was going to say Steve there. I caught myself. That's true. Thank you.
everyone have dogs?
I have a dog.
I have 2 dogs.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, that's perfect.
Oh, great, thank you.
Salmon.
Oh,
You, yeah. Just one.
Yes, sir?
But a special diet.
Okay.
Cheeseburger for you. All right.
And maybe we can just put a couple, anyone else have a dog?
I have a dog.
All right, dog. There we go. We've got a couple more dog owners over here. Great. All right, back to business. All right, Maureen, approval.
Everybody's a
All right.
excited about the
Yeah,
dog
we're all
treats.
excited about the dog treats, but we're gonna keep it moving. So, we're gonna do the approval of amendments to the collective bargaining agreements with AFSCME Local 676, AFSCME Local 1582, SEIU 668, Teamsters Local 384, and the county detectives. So if you could review this amendment with us.
Thank you, yes. Earlier this month, the county added a floating holiday for its employees. The floating holiday is a paid day off that the employee chooses for its significance to the employee. This resolution will allow for amendments to our collective bargaining agreements for the county's representative employees to also have the benefit of a paid floating holiday each year.
Great, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 3 as described by Ms. Maureen Calder. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? Hearing none, moving to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Commissioners' appointments to the Montgomery County Office of Senior Services Advisory Council. I'd like to make a motion to approve the board members to the Montgomery County Office of Senior Services Advisory Council as outlined in Exhibit G4. Is there a second?
second.
Second by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? Moving to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Commissioner's appointment to the Montgomery County Food Policy Council. I'd like to make a motion to approve the board members to the Montgomery County Food Policy Council as outlined in Exhibit G5. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Makija. Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, Commissioner's appointment to the Montgomery County Commission for Women. I'd like to make a motion to approve the board members to the Montgomery County Commission for Women as outlined in Exhibit G6. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Makija. Any board comment?
Just one quick
Yep.
comment. This was an initiative that started off, I thought for and I don't know what we want to call it, the restart up of a group or commission that existed years ago that was focused on women and children. And I was kind of supportive of it, moving it forward. And I have to say that what transpired after that is with even, the grief that you got and we got and everyone got related to this and who's on, who's off. When we're gonna move forward stuff like this, we can't have this happen. I mean, from a community standpoint, we have to be all accepting of each other, and it goes back to what our comments were earlier about, even from what occurred on Saturday, and the things that over the last couple of weeks and how we had to pull back, and it's just not the best of what I can envision for Montgomery County when we put these type of commissions in place. So I just hope to see the next ones that, as we move forward, that we don't go through what we've experienced with trying to get this one off the ground again.
Thank you for your comment. So first, I'd like to thank my two male colleagues for supporting bringing back the Women's Commission. Look, we announced this back in March during Women's History Month, and the idea and the sentiment and the charter of the board remains intact. We had more than 200 women, apply that wanted to be a part of this board's mission. And I want to thank all those who have applied. We had to take our time in really thinking through who would best be represent our values as a county, some of the things that you're talking about, who would ensure that we behaved in a way that would ensure that there was productivity on the board. And so we took these appointments and all appointments, quite candidly, very seriously in looking at who we were going to put on this board. So I want to apologize to all of the women that applied and waited for some time to be appointed to this board. But I'm glad we're moving forward, and I'm confident that, I don't know many of the people that will be on this board, but I'm confident based on them raising their hands and with Donna's leadership, that the board's charter will remain intact and will accomplish some great things with the reestablished Women's Commission. So with any other comment?
No, I just look forward to, having the commission advise on matters of policy where we can make a difference for women, both, in terms of some of the things, building on some of the things we've done, whether it was paid leave, on childcare, or other issues that disproportionately impact women, and if we address can help support women in the workplace, but also thinking about how we take an initiative, for example, on paid leave, and bring that to employers in Montgomery County and really encourage them to enact policies that would support women in their workplaces. So thinking about it not only from what can the county do, but what can we do across the county is going to be one of the things that I really look forward to working with the commission on.
Yeah, very good point. Okay, so moving on to a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion.
No, for all the good intentions that we have, how we got from point A to point B, I'm not supporting this initiative at this point, so I vote no.
Well, then I take back my thanks for your support of the Women's Commission.
Well, I supported it originally.
I thank Commissioner Makija for advancing this, so motion carries. Congratulations to all the board appointments. Next up, the personnel list for July 18th.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. You should have in front of you a final copy of the Commissioners Department's personnel list. It is a 3-page document dated July 17, 2024, with a timestamp of 2:11 p.m. These transactions have been reviewed by management and are now presented for your consideration.
Great, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the July 18th, 2024 personnel presentation as given by Ms. Catherine Halen. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Makija. Any board comment?
last meeting, I said that, moving forward, I wasn't gonna approve any new hires or any additional positions until I saw it budgeted. I don't believe I received or saw anything from a budget standpoint. So, I don't know where we are, dollars and cent wise in the budget as far as what was accounted for the current budget, where we are year to date, number wise. So, I just wanted to put that out there.
Look at that meeting needs to be scheduled. I'll point out a couple of these, on the new hires, district attorneys made a number of moves in their office. This one actually saves funding, and the mental health delegates are majority grant funded.
Okay. Moving to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Thank you. Advertisements of bids and RFPs, Montgomery County Exhibit A.
Can we separate 1 and 2?
Yes. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the advertisements of bids and RFPs for Montgomery County on attached Exhibit A with the exception of 1 and 2. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. I'd like to make a motion to approve the contracts, awards, amendments, and renewals for Montgomery County on attached Exhibit B, 1 and 2. Does that work while I'm doing that?
Exhibit A.
Yeah, on Exhibit A, 1 and 2? Got it. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Makija. Any board comment?
I asked for these to be separated for a couple reasons. I'll start with the second one first, if you can follow that. I'm fine with getting an RFP on maintenance of current drop boxes and covers and stuff like that, but I'm not understanding, counties are doing away with drop boxes, and I don't understand why additional drop boxes would be part of this proposal. So that's why I want this to separate off. And then as far as the first one, I don't support the mobile ice cream truck concept of driving around Montgomery County. This is not our responsibility as county government. It's not good fiduciary use of taxpayer money to have a vehicle in place to drive around to do voter outreach in our communities. We provide all the mechanisms online. And we could have training things online and that, but I just don't understand why this is something that we would be considering. First off, I don't even know how we would put policies and procedures in place of how we control voter intimidation when this van shows up and try to register people to vote.
Happy to comment. Is that it?
Yeah, go
Or
ahead.
you-
I was going to say something, but
Okay,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
if you don't mind. So look, I think there's a number of things we could talk about. There are counties in Pennsylvania that don't even inform voters when they're not going to count their ballot. And I think that's wrong. I think this board has decided in line with the view that every voter who is eligible, who is registered, should have the right to vote, have it be respected, have their vote counted, and if there's any issue, they should be informed about it, and they should have a chance to fix it. So that's the policy that we've had in place here in Montgomery County. In the past, even before we got here, there were mechanisms for notice and cure or enfranchising procedures, as you might say, where we call people, we text people, we even send them a letter to let them know if there's an issue, and it gives them a chance to respond. Now, with those procedures, there's only 10% of people who actually are able to hear about it on time when there's an issue and respond. So there are still thousands of people who are eligible, registered, have the right to vote, think they cast their ballot, and do not get their ballot counted, which I think is an infringement on their rights for us not to do more to make sure they hear about it. So the mobile outreach support, which this is you know, an RFP or a bid to see what our options are going to be in terms of providing the capacity to go to people in a limited window of time. That's one option, or we could also, depending on what our solicitor advises, and they're going to give us the best advice, we're going to do everything the way we need to simply have the ability to go to, for example, a senior home, where I've heard a number of stories where seniors were not able to make it to the drop box, were not able to drive. We would be able to essentially have satellite office support in areas, and we'd have to do this, you know, with all the guidance of our solicitor to make sure it's done properly, equally, et cetera. But we're simply providing the same services that we would provide with people coming into Norristown without having to have them drive 45 minutes to get there, which I think is a great thing to make sure our citizens have the right to vote protected and respected.
And I would just add, this is not an ice cream truck. It is potentially having vehicles that will do some of the things that Commissioner Makija talked about. But, you know, as I was digesting this as a possibility, as a new offering in Montgomery County, I thought about my parents, who are both bedbound, or my mom was bedbound and so is my dad, right? And them not having the capacity to get out of bed, come to One Montgomery Plaza, right? So there's so many constituents, right, that just can't get here, that can't get online, right, or don't have that capacity. And so I think when we're thinking about our most vulnerable, right, this is another way in which we can support our most vulnerable, so.
So does this mean that potentially we're going to have a fleet of vehicles providing access to all the county services across Montgomery County, or are we just focused on ballot harvesting for elections?
Well, what is,
So
what it says is for voter services at this point. So I don't know, I can't predict the future.
Right.
But generally, I think we should be thinking about ways how to meet residents where they are, right? Not everybody can get to Norristown. All right, moving to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Next up, awards of contract Southeast PA Regional Task Force Exhibit C. Motion to approve the contract awards, amendments, and renewals for Southeast PA Regional Task Force on attached Exhibit C. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
You skipped
carries.
J.
Did I skip J?
We do that next.
I skipped J?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all that mess from, okay, so going back.
You're fine.
It's his fault.
But I just reminded you.
Thank you. Thank you for the assist. All right, so going back to item J, awards of contract Montgomery County Exhibit B. I'd like to make a motion to approve the contract awards, amendments, and renewals for Montgomery County on attached Exhibit B. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Makija. Any board comment? You know, I'd like to note number 3 on Exhibit, just double checking myself, on Exhibit B for an emergency behavioral health center. I think this is great news for Montgomery County. We'll be sharing more details in the future, but it's a way for Montgomery County to be a part of assisting when our residents are in crisis. So I want to thank Dr. Williams and her team for the work that you've done. This is a big endeavor, but it's when we think about some of the priorities that we have, and we think about our most vulnerable residents, it's helping those that are struggling with mental health and addiction. So thank you for your leadership on that. Any other board comment?
Since you brought up number 3, I'm going to bring up number 11. I think that the award that we're doing there for the flood study for the Perkiomen floodplain or watershed, whatever you want to call it, I think it's definitely something that I'm curious to see the results that come back with that, because, you know, our current situation, stormwater management currently today, when developments are being built, the stormwater management is basically figured out on the development level only. And there's not an incorporation of the overall, the watersheds that those developments fall within. And stormwater management, a lot of stormwater management from the developments is supposed to be engineered to slowly have the water move off of that development to prevent or to slow down the increase in water heights within our creeks, rivers, and streams. Obviously, it's not necessarily working as designed, so I hope that this information will be used for future legislative changes for that stormwater management. It's basically determined or calculated on much wider areas.
Okay, thank you for your comment. All right, moving to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, now we'll go to general public comment.
Yes, so first will be Mel Lee.
Sorry about the confusion.
Oh,
I think
that's
it was a
okay.
snapshot of first-gen immigrant myself, how it's like to navigate a new system, in this new country. So, yeah, thank you for understanding. And before I start, can we deliver this package
You
of
can give it to our
data?
board secretary, and we'll.
That's good. So again, good afternoon. My name is Melly. I'm the executive director of Uri Center, a grassroots Asian American organization based in Montgomery County. I'd like to thank you again for your public commitments to increasing language access to the ballot for the AAPI communities in our county. Really, your responses to the 2023 candidate survey conducted by Uri Center along with 15 other local organizations demonstrate united community support to this very important issue. Today, on behalf of Korean American community in our county, I'd like to raise the urgency for the county to provide Korean translations for election materials, including ballots, mailers, and county websites. Language remains a barrier to our community's fundamental right to vote in this county. Montgomery County is home to the largest Korean American community in Pennsylvania, with over 13,000 individuals at least. However, of more than 10,000 eligible Korean American voters at least, only about 3,000 are registered to vote. At Uri Center, we have conducted year-round voter engagement programs for the past 6 years, successfully registering over 800 voters and providing linguistically and culturally competent assistance and education. Each year, we hear similar stories from community members. I've lived here for like 40 or 50 years, but this is the first time that I'm voting because of your help. Commissioners, as you all noted in the 2023 candidate survey, language barriers are a significant obstacle to civic participation within the AAPI communities. As you will hear more from Mr. Hong later, who actually called Norristown his American hometown. Individuals with limited English proficiency face substantial barriers that prevent them from exercising their voting rights and having their voices heard. Providing translations is a crucial first step if our county is committed to ensuring equal opportunities and access to the ballot for all residents. Language access is essential for true representation and participation. If Montgomery County fulfills its commitment to include Korean language options on ballots, it would become the 9th county nationwide to do so. Notably, in Cook County, Illinois, but both the county and the city of Chicago agreed to provide voting materials in Korean, even though it was not mandated by federal voting rights law. As a result, Korean American voter participation in those areas significantly increased. We hope to see similar outcomes here in our county. Uri Center and other community organizations are ready to collaborate with you in implementing an exemplary language access program, leveraging our linguistic and cultural expertise gained from years of community outreach and engagement. By providing language access, Montgomery County will not only empower our communities to participate fully in democracy, but will also demonstrate its commitment to welcoming and encouraging civic engagement amongst its diverse population. Thank you for hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The data is included in the package.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for your comments.
Up next is Jung Hwan Hong, who is accompanied by translator Jay Lee.
Just let you know, I'll be interpreting for Mr. Hong today.
Okay.
For anyone in the room with limited Korean proficiency.
안녕하세요. 저는 랜스데이에 살고 있는 홍정환입니다. 저는 1941년에 대한민국 부산에서 태어났습니다. 한국에서 결혼하고 아들, 딸 낳아 기르다가 1984년에 미국으로 이민 왔습니다. 그때 제가 43세였습니다.
Hello, my name is Jung-hwan Hong, and I live in Lansdale. I was born in 1941 in Busan, South Korea. In 1984, at the age of 43, I immigrated to the United States with my wife and children.
노리스타운에 있는 아마텍스라는 공장에 취직해 섬유기술공으로 35년 동안 이 회사에서 일하고 몇 년 전 은퇴했습니다.
I got a job at a factory called Amatex in Norristown and worked as a textile technician for 35 years. I retired a few years ago.
말이 다른 나라에서 모든 것이 낯설고 어려웠지만 가족을 위해 정말 열심히 살았습니다. 이제 아들과 딸이 좋은 대학을 나와 보스턴과 뉴저지에서 각각 살고 있으니 뿌듯합니다.
Everything was unfamiliar and difficult in a new country, especially with the language barrier. But I worked really hard for my family. Now, I'm proud that my son and daughter graduated from good universities and are doing well in Boston and New Jersey.
제 처가 먼저 떠나고 10년 전부터 랜스데이에서 혼자 살고 있습니다. 우리 센터에서 무료 영어 수업이나 다른 서비스도 제공하더군요. 영어가 쉽지 않는 혼자 사는 저에게 우리 센터의 언어 지원은 큰 도움이 되고 있습니다.
Since my wife passed away, I have been living alone in Lansdale for the past 10 years. Woody Center's services have been great help to me, especially as I live alone with limited English proficiency.
우리 센터 도움을 받아 우편 투표도 신청했습니다. 그런데 투표 용지는 영어로만 되어 있습니다. 시험 말도 투표 용지나 공문에 써 있으면 어렵게 느껴집니다. 우편 투표 용지를 들고 우리 센터에 가니 번역을 해줘서 투표를 잘 마칠 수 있었습니다.
With the help of Woody Center, I also applied for a mail-in ballot. However, the ballot was only in English. Even the simple language on the ballot or official documents feel difficult. When I took the mail-in ballot to our center, they helped me with the translation and I was able to complete my vote successfully.
이민에 와서 성실한 시민으로 열심히 살았습니다. 하지만 언어 장벽으로 인해 하고 싶은 것들 마음껏 하지는 못했습니다. 그 중에 하나가 투표입니다. 시민으로서 내 권리를 제대로 행사하고 싶습니다. 제가 잘 이해할 수 있는 한국어로 투표할 수 있는 그 날은 곧 왔으면 좋겠습니다. 이야기 들어주셔서 감사합니다.
Since I migrated, I've worked hard and have been a model citizen. However, due to the language barrier, I haven't been able to do everything I wanted. One of those things is voting. I want to exercise my rights as a citizen properly. I hope the day will come soon when I can vote in Korean, which I can understand well. Thank you for listening to my story.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Up next is Jeannie White, or Jean.
Jean White from Montgomery. At the last commissioners' meeting on Thursday, June 27, 2024, I brought forth the issue that my right-to-know request, or either they request a 30-day extension for a response, and then they deny me. And so I was asked to give a listing of my right-to-knows, and that somebody would look at them and get back to me And here we are almost a month later, and I've heard nothing. So I have put this in writing, and I would like to submit it and have somebody get back to me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. We'll follow up.
Up next is Sarah Slattery.
Hi. Hi, how are you? Go ahead.
Sorry,
Yeah.
first time.
No, it's okay.
Thank
Welcome.
you. My name is Sarah Slattery, and I'm from Lower Merion. I'm part of a nonpartisan group to clean up voting rolls in Pennsylvania. I'm here today to follow up on 3 emails that I sent dating June 12th, June 23rd, and July 1st that shared Excel document with this data. We reviewed the Montgomery County registered voters who have moved out of Pennsylvania, registered in other states, and yet remain on the Montgomery County voting rolls. The latest data from July 1st revealed that there are 2,403 voters who remain registered within Montgomery County even after submitting a change of address for another state. 611 are listed as active, and 1,792 are listed as inactive. Of note, 881 of this total former Montgomery residents have voted in another state, so that's 37%. The information I sent has been validated using official state voter rolls and the NCOA data. It is my understanding that when a registered voter applies for a new driver's license, the voter is asserting in writing that he or she has changed their address and is a legal resident of the new state. By signing this form, a voter is giving a written certification that his or her legal residence and eligibility to vote are in this new state. In addition, it is my understanding that when an election official receives this documentation from state DMV, this meets the MVRA requirements of written proof that the previously registered voter is no longer eligible to vote in that state and should be canceled from the voter registration list. So I'm here today just to ask for the immediate action to cancel these voters who, by their out-of-state voting registrations, such as a driver's license, have given a written attestation as to no longer living in this county and no longer eligible to vote in Pennsylvania and/or Montgomery County. I appreciate the work done by the Election Bureau. I would have been at that meeting, but with the change, I'm sorry that I'm here now. But I asked, why are these voters still on the voting rolls? And I asked that I will resubmit my email with the Excel data. It was just too big for me to give a hard copy, but I'll do that later today.
But you emailed multiple times and nobody acknowledged it?
Yes.
Okay.
3 times.
Who did you email?
All 3 of you.
You emailed all 3 of us?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And Board of Elections, so thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
All right, we'll follow up.
I appreciate it.
Up next is Maureen Laska. Marlene, I'm sorry.
Marlene Laska, Upper Providence Township. I made a comment at the Board of Elections in June, and I'm just here to follow up and find out what the status is of my request. What I requested was signs be posted that non-citizens voting cannot be, they cannot vote. And in addition, now I also am requesting that the envelopes, the outside envelope on for the mail-in ballots also have notices that non-citizens cannot vote. And fortunately, I see that the contract did not go out, that only on today's date is, will the contract go out to actually give a, for the mail-in ballots. So that's fortunate. So you have enough time is basically the, so I want to know, who do I follow up with? I sent a post to Director of Elections, and he did not respond. So I'm asking you now, who do I follow up with? What do I do to see what is the, for getting signs or notices on the mail-in ballot?
So look, I appreciate your suggestion.
Okay.
You've emailed, you've come here and you've stated that suggestion, so we're all hearing it.
Right.
So if we decide to do it, you'll see at a later date if we decide to do it. But that's not, we're not, you know, our mail-in ballots, our envelopes are working fine. I don't think we need to put that notice on there. And I think we give clear instructions on who should and should not be voting. So I don't know that there's necessarily any follow-up to be done. But if you want to.
Yeah. Are there any other comments? Any other comments? I'll wait for the last comment and then I'll comment.
Okay, thank you.
Well, so I just want to make sure you're asking specifically to put on mail-in ballots if you have to be a U.S. citizen to vote. Is that what you're
Correct.
asking?
Correct. And that it is illegal, according to the Pennsylvania Department of State website, it is illegal for non-citizens to vote. So it doesn't hurt to re-emphasize that you cannot vote on, and also to have signs at the polling locations that say exactly that illegals are not allowed to vote.
Illegals, got it. Okay,
Well,
thank
I mean,
you.
the
Yeah.
bigger thing is that there's, I'm not sure legally what we can and cannot do because of certain decisions that were made in the past. So, I mean, that's something I'll follow up with the solicitor and ask questions about at a later, you know. But, I mean, there's bigger issues related to undocumented, getting driver's license and social security cards and everything else, which is the materials you need to register to vote, which is outside of our control. But there's other things that, you know, also that are going on.
Right, okay.
So, yeah, I'll just go through for the other one.
I'm sorry.
No, you can.
I
yeah,
got it.
There's an order. If you wanna put
If
your
you want to
name
put your
on
name
public-
on for public
You
comment.
can put your name, you can't
You
say
wanna
anything.
put your name
can
down.
put it- Yeah, thank you.
Because, do you want me to do the next one or do you want?
I'll just respond. So, first thing first, when people register to vote, they got to be 18 by election day, and they have to be a citizen for 30 days. That's on the registration form. And people provide either their social security or their driver's license in which it is verified, their citizenship is verified by the state. There is absolutely no indication that I've received that anyone who is not a citizen is voting here in Montgomery County. And to the contrary, I want to thank actually our friends from the Worley Center and working in the Korean American community, because the real issue that we need to think about is how to make voting more accessible for people who are citizens but who are from immigrant communities, and we're not accessing them because they don't have the language access, as they very thoughtfully indicated. And we're talking about someone, for example, who has lived in the community for decades, and yet government has not provided them with the services that we could for them to vindicate their own fundamental rights, which they're entitled to. And so for myself, and I know for the decisions that Commissioner Winder and I have made, we are thinking about how to make sure voting is accessible to those who have the right to vote, who are entitled to have their vote counted. And yes, we do have to think about security, but I want you to know there's a lot of falsehoods about that. And we don't have any indication that there's any voter fraud of the sort that you're saying, where someone who's not a citizen. And in fact, we have all sorts of safeguards, including when you register to vote, it's already on the form declaring that you're a citizen. It's one of two things, your age and your citizenship. So those safeguards exist. And the step for us to prioritize is really thinking about, I mean, I'm struck by what you said about the Worley Center in terms of 30% of people only being registered to vote in the community. So that's something that, you know, I would like us to prioritize and figure out how to help people know that voting is not a crime, it's a right, and we're going to find ways to make sure that they can exercise that.
Thank you, Neil.
Thanks. There's going to be one more commenter, and anyone else who has now commented can put their name on. but-
So the next public commenter was Ed Moy, who may have left.
Yes.
Okay, and so then the next public commenter is Teresa Brown Travis.
Okay.
Hi, Teresa Von Paris, Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. I just have an observation. When we refer to undocumented immigrants as illegals, do we not correct that, or we just let it go?
I think what we said
You corrected
does
it?
does not, we're,
Well, no, we don't correct it because it's freedom of speech, but I used the word undocumented.
Okay.
To answer your question.
Thank you. I just thought I'll
Right,
address
but
the
no, we don't correct
Lady Mommy.
people.
Okay.
but we do address comments that make people in this room uncomfortable.
Yes.
That go
Right.
against our values as
Made
a
me
board.
very uncomfortable,
So,
too.
I'm sorry
That's
that you
okay.
felt that way.
But thank you.
And that is the end of public comment. No one on Zoom.
All right, any closing commissioner comments?
The only thing I want to mention is two things real quick. One is I'm glad we followed through and had the next presentation of the Justice Center. I think that's good that we do that every couple months or so. But I also want to just throw the request again to maybe in the next meeting or so, we have a planning commission budget breakdown, or at least give a high level of explanation of, because that's been brought up several times by community members trying to understand the planning commission, that overall budget. So I think it'll be important so for people to understand what's county money or money that actually comes in from other sources. And I know that we're kind of trying to get our next commissioner meeting on the road planned. I think we're up to October now. I'm hoping that we could get on a little bit better schedule of doing them a little sooner, just based on the feedback that I've heard, or people are really excited that we're doing it. So hopefully, as we do this, we could tighten it up a little bit and do it a little sooner in between than waiting so long in between meetings.
So a couple of things. The public budget presentation and update, we want to make sure, or I want to make sure that everyone on this board is clear on how we're doing from a budget perspective before we present to the public.
No,
So that's why.
this is just a planning commission.
No, but you said budget. You said
No,
budget.
well,
Yeah, and the planning commission asked to move from today.
yeah,
to
I'm
the
just
next
saying that
meeting.
there's different buckets. So I
Yeah,
just
but
want them to be
we're
able to
gonna have those.
explain. Yeah, that's all I'm
Those are,
saying. Yeah.
and
Yep.
then taking the meeting on the road, I loved our meeting in Skip Back, we just have to coordinate
Limerick.
schedule. Skip Back was on the way there.
Right, you went
So
through Skip
Limerick,
Back.
Yes, how could I forget Limerick? Yes, it was a great meeting in Limerick, and we'll be looking to do more of those soon. Any other comments, Commissioner Makija? Okay, upcoming meeting dates, retirement board meeting today in 15 minutes, Board of Elections meeting today at 2, Board of Commissioners meeting, next one is Thursday, August 15th at 10 a.m. in this room. So I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the July 18th, 2024 meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Next up, Salary Board. I'd like to invite our controller up. Welcome. All right, do we have any public comment for Salary Board? Great. I'd like to invite our Chief Human Resource Officer, Ms. Catherine Halen, up to review the Salary Board presentation.
Good afternoon, Salary Board members. You should have in front of you the final copy of the Salary Board list. The list consists of new positions, new hires, other transactions, and a listing of employees going off-roll. It is a 4-page document dated July 17, 2024, with a timestamp of 2:11 p.m. All transactions have been reviewed by management and are now presented for your consideration.
Great. I'd like to make a motion to approve the July 18th, 2024 Salary Board presentation as given by Ms. Catherine Halen. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner, seconded by Commissioner Makija. Any board comment? Hearing none, moving to a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the July 18th, 2024 meeting of the Montgomery County Salary Board. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? Moving to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.